Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you're here for the first time, please hit the subscribe button. Everyone else, welcome back. High Country Overland, I'm Josh. All right, just recently got back from the Georgia Traverse and I want to go over how I planned for the event and give you some ideas about some things that might make it easier and answer some questions that I get asked about the Traverse. So let's get right to it. All right, the first thing you should do when you're preparing for the Georgia Traverse is Google Georgia Traverse, and then go to Georgia Overland. So this is the website, Georgia Traverse. This explains what the Traverse is. It answers some questions about the Traverse. 226 miles are unpaved, 164 miles of pavement. So you want to go, this is the map here. So they'll give you an idea of where it's at, where the beginning endpoints are. The map is set up for you to start on the eastern trailhead and then end over here on the western side. So you hit download, and then this page here explains exactly how to download the GPX files and use them. I recommend that you download Gaia maps and then download the files for Gaia. It works really well. Has a bunch of waypoints on it too. So it's very helpful. All right, so the Georgia Overland website will say the Traverse will take 2 to 3 days. I had about 4 days. So Friday, we were at the Eastern Trailhead at 5 o'clock, and we finished at the end of the Traverse on the Alabama state line around like 11 o'clock on Monday. And so we had 4 days, 3 nights, and I was thinking, okay, they're saying 2 to 3 days. We'll have some extra time. We can go on some side trails. We can see some of these falls. We can go exploring a little bit. Maybe check out some of the towns, little towns or something. But that didn't happen. We pretty much drove the whole time, and we were driving from 9 or so in the morning after we broke camp, had breakfast, all the way until 5, 7 at night in order to finish the entire Traverse by Monday. And we didn't really have any extra time to go check out these side trails. So maybe you can get it done a little faster, but that's how much time it took us. And I think you should allot even more time than that if you do want to check out any of these side trails. And there's a bunch of different places to go hiking off the Traverse. So some of the questions on the website ask about what kind of vehicle you need to do it. A lot of it's Forest Service roads, well maintained, some are narrow. And so you could do most of these with even something like a Subaru Outback. There are only a few technical parts. They were mainly all around the Tallulah River. There was the significant stream crossings were around the Tallulah River, and there was some muddy, steeper sections with some ruts, and they actually needed to have it in 4-wheel drive. I have a 2019 Tacoma off-road, so no problem with the whole thing. And it rained most of the time, so I mean it was wet, it was muddy, but it was no problem. I thought it would actually be a little more technical, maybe a little more difficult based on some of the other videos I watched on YouTube, but not so much. Once you download the GPX files to Gaia, here you go. This is what you got. This is Gaia. Here's the Georgia Traverse. And these different colors are based on the days that we did. So Eastern Trailhead is over here close to, it's Burroughs Ford. This is Burroughs Ford Road. And so we were here about 5 o'clock. We drove, everything you see green here. We drove those miles and we stopped. We started looking for a campsite somewhere before 23, but we were unable to find one. So we wound up driving until about 9 o'clock at night, and we stayed at Patterson Gap. Now, once you get up to Patterson Gap, you watch the day 2 video on my channel, and it'll show you the campsite. It's off on the left. You can drive in. It's a pretty nice campsite, plenty of room for your tent. There's a fire ring and everything there. So that was day 1. And then day 2 is everything this in orange here. Now, we didn't do this green section because it was closed here. And so we didn't get to do all of that. We wound up trying to come up the back way to see if there was anything interesting on this section since it was cut off, but there wasn't really nothing. We just then turned around and came back down, and then continued on. There are a couple other minor closures. Let's see. This might have been one right here. Okay. Looks like we missed some section in here too because of closures. Because continue on this orange line. Okay. And then day 2, our campsite was just east of the Mulkey Campground, the Cooper Creek Recreation Area. So right around here, right before you get to the Mulkey Campground, there's some dispersed camping up here. And our site, you'll see it out in the day 2 video. It was off on the left, and it's probably our favorite campsite of the entire thing. We could just drive down, plenty of room for the truck, set up our tent and our whole camp. There's a fire ring. It's a beautiful little area with the creek that went by. So we had plenty of water too, and that was nice. And it wasn't trashed out. You'll see a lot of these dispersed sites are just littered with trash. Not everyone's following the leave no trace doctrine, unfortunately. The 3rd day was our biggest day. I explained in the video, I think it was like 170 miles that we did, but so that's all of this. This section here in the Cohutta Wilderness, see these green lines here. All these are hiking trails, backpacking trails. There's a bunch of mountain biking trails. If you can bring a mountain bike with you, there'd be some really cool riding to do in here. This would be a good place to stop and like do an overnight if you just want to get out of your vehicle and then camp out in here. There's a lot of established trails in this trail system, and then you could do this whole Forest Service circle here, but because of our time constraint, we were trying to get done. We were like I was saying, driving, man. We're just packing the miles. We just did this bottom section. And you got a big road section here. All the way. So we ended day 3 at about 7 o'clock on Sunday, and we stayed just past Jenkins Gap. So the trail itself comes down this way, comes down here. But if you go straight at Jenkins, well, it's not actually straight. If you make a right at Jenkins Gap, there is a dispersed campsite off to the right once you make that right, and that's where we stayed. And that was pretty nice because it's just off the beaten path a little way. It wasn't trashed out. It was a nice site. There wasn't anyone coming by. So we got up the next day and then finished the traverse. There wasn't much trail riding once you left Jenkins Gap. And then into day 4 over here, country road right there on the Georgia-Alabama line. All right, well, that's it. That's how we planned it. And it was a lot of just sort of drive until we got to a place that looked like it would be good to stop and set up camp, because we weren't really sure ahead of time where all the dispersed camping was. So hopefully this video helps with that. And there's not a whole lot I would change. Maybe I take a little bit more water than I did. I had a water port on the Tacoma, and we were using that mainly for washing our hands and washing dishes. And with that ran out at day 2, so day 3 I was able to ask a lady at a gas station when we were filling up gas if I could get some water from the spigot to fill it up, and she said no problem. So I hooked up the water port to the spigot at the gas station and filled it back up. So that was helpful. But I mean, I expect it to be a little more difficult. I installed a winch before I left. Definitely didn't need to use that at all. But beautiful, and we had a great time. Definitely do it again. Hopefully maybe when the kids are a little bit older. All right, well, if you have any more questions, just comment below and hit that subscribe button again. All right, thanks for tuning in. Take care.